it was funny the amount of people naturally that were like, yeah, right. That would
Oh,
never happen.
I thought it was completely fake when I saw it pop up on Twitter the first time on Sunday night. I'm like, somebody's making something up because there's no way that that's true.
Yeah. And then you get, obviously, this is a soft landing. I saw it compared, and I wish I could come up with a better one, but I'm just going to steal this one. I saw it compared to Jimbo Fisher in
Mm-hmm.
football.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, right down to he's got a national title
Mm-hmm.
at his, I guess you call it previous employer now. Things had kind of gotten stale. Fan base is upset. Now you have a place that's desperate to win, but maybe hasn't won as much. And both sides are equally happy, much like Florida State fans were okay for Jimbo to leave. Texas A&M fans are thrilled to go hire Jimbo. Well, in this case, both fan bases are very happy for the most part with the outcome of this. And so for him, for Cal, I think it's about, can you continue to reinvent yourself a little bit and keep moving with the times, or are you going to be a little bit stubborn that your way still works?
Arkansas is probably going to skip the part where they do the trophy where you fill in your national title.
Yeah,
You know,
let's
think
not go that far.
probably don't need to go that far. And the other funny visual, aside from like the Cal walking his dog and with the stroll. Well, actually, Cal said the dog's walking me. You know, that's going to be etched in our memory. But you know, another funny
That's the
visual.
quote. That's the quote he could offer in that moment.
It hasn't happened yet, but it will, and I'm going to die laughing. Is when he has to call the Hogs at the press conference.
Oh yeah,
He's going to have a look on his face like, am I getting paid by the hour, or when does my first check arrive? Like it is going to be so funny.
Is that going to beat the Brian Kelly fake Southern voice?
No, I don't know, man.
That's
That one-
hard to beat. That is pretty hard to beat. I'll say that much. But you bring up a good point a second ago, Wes, where the reason why things started trending in the wrong direction for Kentucky is they're continually a team full of really young guys. And yes, those guys do go on to be NBA lottery picks and all-stars and all that kind of stuff. But as we've seen in the tournament, just like this year, when you go up against a team of guys that are in their mid to late 20s with a lot of college experience, regardless of where it's at, Oakland or whatever the school is, they usually end up getting beat by those teams because they are so young and built on, these 18, 19, 20-year-olds that, unfortunately, that's not always the sustained success you need for a tournament run.
And these 22-year-olds that some of them know, hey, my days of playing organized basketball are soon over. And there's maybe a little extra edge in knowing that, as opposed to, I mean, yeah, all the guys want to win, but I'm going to the NBA in a couple months. So it might be a little bit different. Have y'all seen that photo floating around of the former Kentucky players with Cal that were selected to the All-Star game this year?
Mhm.
Like they had more NBA All-Stars that played for him than most programs have of just guys in the league, period.
Right.
And you would think that, get more talent, that's completely aligned with winning basketball games. That's not, as we've seen, necessarily the case. I think, for one, not quite apples to apples, but to me, it speaks even more to what Don Staley has been able to do in terms of getting all this talent and being able to manage it and build that culture. And now you're obviously, the way the game is built, you're going to be able to keep people in your program, at least in terms of not going pro. But you look at the transfer portal, there's always a chance you could lose people to the portal. So what she's built in terms of getting so many high-level prospects and having them all working towards one goal is all the more impressive. But guys, for him, and he's been asked about this, he's basically said, look, my recruiting pitch is, I'm going to set you up for success in the NBA and for success off the court. And that's his primary goal. That's his primary recruiting pitch. And that doesn't necessarily align with winning the most basketball games. And so Kentucky fans, I mean, it's been, I would say, a kind of ugly divorce at this point. And you would never think a guy who won a title, a guy who has as much talent as they have, that it would come to this. But for almost every coach, you're either at some point you retire, you're fired, or you leave for another job. I mean, that's really the only three outcomes. And it's rarely pretty, and this is another one that's just it ain't pretty.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those situations. And Terry, I thought Brett made a really good analogy. It's kind of like you have the couple that's still married but sleeping in separate beds, and they're staying together for the children, type of thing. Like that's kind of what this felt like. Where if they continued to recruit the way that they were doing and play the way that they did, that he was going to continue to get bounced early on in the NCAA tournament, and he wasn't going to get fired this year. But within the next 2-3 years, it was probably going to happen once they scrounged up the money they needed for his $33 million buyout. It just seemed like there was no real future with Cal having that sustained success at Kentucky again, and he just went ahead and made the move himself and got paid very handsomely to do so.
Well, and if he didn't have that Arkansas lifeline, he might still be there. And he one of one of your options, one of those things that you just said, Wes, would have happened. One of the other two items, he would have either turned it around and everybody's like, okay, this is good now, or he wouldn't, and he, would have had another early exit, whether that's first or second round from the tournament, assuming they made the tournament, and he would have gotten fired. I just think the way that it ended as well at Kentucky, from kind of seeing what the reporting of some of the national people and what our guys at KSR have said on three, just been kind of bizarre, right? There was a player meeting's canceled. Mitch Barnhart, the AD at Kentucky, and Cal don't have a great relationship. They're on this awkward video together. Just kind of a weird ending. But I'm curious to see what is next. Who is next in Lexington?
We'll continue the college basketball conversation. Also, talk about who did some heavy lifting in the national championship game coming up next. As we are live out at Proswing in Chapin, going until noon for us, and going to be out here all day as far as the game. Tyler, Wes, and Chris here on the game. That month being April, and very busy with our friends over at Twin Peaks. All starting off today as it is Customer Appreciation Day. You can kick off your week with buy one, get one boneless wings with a purchase at the Peaks. When you purchase a 22-ounce signature Peaks draft today, again, that's going on all day long. Bring the crew, select your sauce or rub, and catch all the views down there at Twin Peaks. And again, so many sports coming up this month. Got golf coming up this weekend. You have Champions League on the soccer side, the hockey playoffs starting a little bit later on this month, as well as professional basketball playoffs too. And only one place to catch all that. That is with our friends at Twin Peaks down in the Vista. And of course, they do happy hour better than anyone else with those 29-degree man-size draft beers. Catch it all with our friends at Twin Peaks down in the Vista. Figured out what to do this time. You can turn your mics off. Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head, Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell, along with you out at Proswing here in Chapin, 105 Snapdragon Court. Going to be out here all day long. We'll be out here till noon. Terry from 12 to 3, and then Jay will be out here from 3 until 6. Very cool simulators they got set up here. So it's kind of a rainy day. So if you can't make it out of the golf course, it's the perfect kind of place where you can come and get some swings in. Don't have to chase the ball. Don't have to hit it out of the water. Perfect place to play some golf. As we're getting ready for the Masters coming up this weekend. It is time for Who Did the Heavy Lifting, sponsored by our friends over at TEC Equipment Rental, a newer segment here on the Extra Point. And if you didn't catch it last week, this is kind of highlighting those that their stats may fly under the radar a little bit, or may not jump off the page at you, or may not even be on the winning team when it comes to a game. And that's where we're going to start with today. Zach Edey last night. For
This segment is new to me, by the way.
It is new to you because you guys aren't on the Extra Point.
Yes.
Typically. So Zach Edey last night, obviously on the losing side of things, with Purdue falling to UConn 75-60. He scored 37 of the 60 points for Purdue last night. Went 15 of 25 from the field. Basically did everything. Every time that Purdue got near the basket, it got into Zach Edey's hands. And when you're 7'4", you're going to make most of those shots. But unfortunately, the pieces around him weren't able to do a whole lot. And Purdue ends up falling again 75-60.
And they I was looking at some of the comments after the game. That was actually part of the UConn game plan, though. It was, hey, he can score 60, and that's fine as long as the supporting cast is not scoring. They basically said combined 20 points. And
he said they had no chance.
Yeah.
If that happened. Another Dan Hurleyism for you.
The supporting staff.
Chris's favorite coach.
The supporting staff scored, well, the rest of the starters scored 21 points and then 2 points off the bench.
Cool. Yeah. So, and that strategy proved to be correct. Now, it also, UConn was just the better overall team. That was obvious. I would say we're probably honestly downplaying just how good this team is when you consider how the best team really usually does not win when you're talking about a 64 team tournament. And UConn obviously is able to do it 2 years in a row with a different supporting cast. But Edey, other than shooting free throws, was as advertised. I'm very curious to see what it looks like for him in the NBA game. And this guy just did it all year long. For the last 2 seasons, he has carried things for them, and pretty impressive. And I didn't realize, as a very casual basketball fan, I didn't realize this guy plays like every minute that size as well.
Never leaves the court.
33 seconds, I think, is what he had rested, which I don't even know what was even the point of that.
Yeah, so he's running the floor.
That must have been him checking out at the end of the game to get his,
it must
tip of the cap to the fan base or whatever it may be. I didn't remember seeing that, but that probably makes sense.
Just insane conditioning.
Yes,
for any player, especially a guy like that, though. That's a big dude, and to be conditioned that way.
Yeah, well, and at some point, though, that's just a natural thing.
Yeah.
Like, to be that big and to still even be able to get to the point of being that conditioned is insane. You obviously got to have great discipline for that as well. But, it was interesting just kind of watching what he was able to do, but compared to the rest of his team and just being up against a machine in UConn, I feel like.
And even in the loss last night, his facial expression never changed one time. The same, just kind of deadpan demeanor that Zach Edey is known for.
Dan Hurley's face did change multiple times.
Quite a bit.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Chris, what is up? Why can he not make NIL money?
He is Canadian.
Yes.
And so there is still an extremely dumb rule that, if you are on, and I don't know let me back up. I don't know Zach Edey's backstory other than he's from Toronto, right? So if you're on a student visa, which there's a lot of international players,
especially in basketball,
in the NCAA,
yeah,
in multiple sports, you're not allowed to capitalize on NIL money unless you do the deliverables in your home country, basically, which makes it kind of difficult. And so I've heard of some instances of players you know, going back and doing things like even, yeah, I mean, it's affected a lot of players, and it's really dumb rule. I mean, quite frankly,
Whose rule is it?
it is. I want to say it's an NCAA rule, but then then you go, okay, well, how can they enforce that now? But
Yeah.
I'm not sure, to be quite honest with you.
And
It hadn't come up in a while here.
For a guy like Zach Edey, and he's talked about this, his frustration with not being able to benefit off of NIL. I mean, you're talking about a guy that could be missing out on millions of dollars before even going to the NBA, which again, we don't even know what the extent of his NBA career is going to be, because a guy with his kind of skill set doesn't really translate as well over into today's NBA. So we don't even know how far he can go in that.
Yeah, the amount of money that's actually got to be a really tough pill to swallow. The amount of money he's leaving on the table, like he to me is one of the people that's kind of the poster child of why players should be able to make money off their NIL, because he is that big of a brand, has been a national brand for at least 2 seasons now, and is not, like you said, going to be that top 10 draft pick. It doesn't seem, isn't going to possibly be a marquee guy in the NBA, just because that's not how the game is played anymore. Now, somebody will give him a chance.
Sure.
But he's not one of the guys you hear talked about as much. And he's going to look back and probably, I mean, like you said, it probably is into the millions at this point that were left on the table.
Yeah, and let me correct myself. I mentioned I thought maybe NCAA, but it actually has to do with what I said, where it's a visa. So students come in on an F1 visa, and that limits your ability to it, like, strictly limits your ability to work and make money while you're in the U.S. Right, and so that's why you can go back to your home country. You can capitalize there, right? You can do your deliverables there and make money, but otherwise you're restricted. So it's really, it'd be a government issue, I guess is what you could say. But they haven't adjusted it yet, which makes it.
I would say this is something that's likely not going to get resolved in the short term.
It doesn't seem like it. But as you pointed out, Wes, I mean, there's a lot of international players, not only in basketball, but just, I mean, soccer. I mean, there's a bunch of
a lot of the Olympic sports too.
Yeah, a lot of the Olympic sports have players that have not been able to capitalize. So it's difficult situation for sure.
Yeah.
Something that they need to take a hard look at changing somehow.
Yeah, and again, last night was very likely Zach Edey's final college game. Going to try his hand at the next level to finally be able to actually earn some money, whatever he ends up getting, wherever he ends up going in the WNBA draft. And again, just kind of a rare, unique talent. And look, not everybody's going to be 7'4". That's not something that you can obviously teach, but going to be a big loss for the Purdue program. Again, he was literally doing the heavy lifting for the team last night, scoring over half their points.
Yeah, and I do love those stories when it's kind of one guy against an entire team, and you want to believe that maybe you're about to see something incredibly special, and that he just takes on all battles there and is able to pull it out. But I think as the game went along, it to me was just obvious. All right, UConn, too deep, too balanced, too just overall talented, and they work so well together. You almost kind of knew the ending early in this game, I feel like.
Well, especially Purdue, who was one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country, couldn't even get shots off because UConn was so in their face. They were 1 of 7 from 3 last night, which is their lowest attempt total and lowest makes of the entire season. So kind of took away a big element of their game, which prevented them from making that competitive, especially there in the second half. But that puts a bow on the college basketball season for 2023 and 2024. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1. We'll get our guy from Integrated Media, Michael, as well as here at Proswing, top on with us. Talk a little bit about what they got set up here out in Chapin. Again, we are at Proswing in Chapin, 105 Snapdragon Court. Going to be out here until noon. The entire station's going to be out here all day long here on the game. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. It's still low. Hold on. We didn't even do anything.
He said for all of us.
For all of us. Oops.
You want me to turn
Yeah.
something?
I'm trying to see. I don't even know what knob is not what. Hold on. Hold on.
You want me to turn it?
Yeah, I don't even know which tab it is. Hold on. Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Wrapping up hour number 1. Tyler Head, Wes Mitchell, Chris Clark. We are out at Proswing and Chapin 105 Snapdragon Court. Going to be out here all day long. We'll be out here until noon. Then Terry will take over from noon to 3. Our guy Michael from Integrated Media and here at Proswing is now hanging out with us. Michael, we talked about it open the show. Very cool place. First time I've been out here. I know the guy's been out here before, but man, it is everything that I heard and so much more.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We've had Wes and Chris do one of the Gamecock Central podcasts from out here, so they hung out and played after. So it was fun.
It is very fun. It's addicting, man. You get in there, you're like, I could spend a few hours on this thing. I think. Hey, how often? Be honest. How often do you kind of sneak over here and
I come
play
over
a few courses?
I get here a little early in the morning. The cool thing about it is it's not like going to play 18 on a course, right? It doesn't take half the day. So I get to work 45 minutes early. I can come over here and play 18 holes before I start my day, or even just practice a little bit on the round to work on my game a little bit. So I play a couple days a week.
Yeah, and dreary day outside right now. So obviously, rain or shine, you can come over here and play. I imagine y'all have like groups come out together and
so we
enjoy
have
the bar a little bit. How does all that work?
So we have memberships. It's $100 a month, and it's $25 an hour to play for not per person, it's per bay. And then like on rainy days like this, we're really close to Mid Carolina and Timberlake. So the word's gotten out about us. So on a day like today, we're like senior guys, they play every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Friday. So if the weather's bad, they just go ahead and book us. So they just skip their time out there. So it works out great, nasty days or when it's 100 degrees in July. It's hot out there.
Oh yeah.
How did this whole idea come about?
So Nathan and I own Integrated Media next door, and we put stuff, technology in people's houses, TVs, cameras, Wi-Fi, and we always get requests for golf simulators in basements. So we've done a few, and we said, we live out in Chapin community, and we're like, there's nothing like to do out here like this. So why don't we do it? So the office space next to our office became available. So we scooped it up and said, let's do it. So we started in July 1. It's been awesome. We get busier literally every week.
That's good, man. So have y'all done this exact install in some basements?
Yes.
Or
we've got one in Lexington going right now.
No lie.
Yep. It's fun, man.
Add that to the list of things that Integrated Media can do for you, right?
We're gonna add that into the ad read.
Yep. And these are like the most incredible ones they have, and they have some that are a couple steps down too. It makes it a little bit more affordable for people, but they're awesome.
Are you envisioning this in your basement, Wes?
Well, I've always envisioned.
We put in your frog up there.
Yeah, we could. You've been at my
Yeah.
been at my house, hook me up. I've always envisioned the ultimate goal is like the home theater system.
Yep.
In one of the bedrooms, like just kind of turning it into a home theater. But this right here, I don't think the wife would.
I was going to
go
ask
for this, but
would you have to clear that with the wife?
I don't
first?
think she'd go for that. But the home theater thing,
Yeah.
that I know y'all probably do.
And,
Some of those,
and again, we're talking about a lot about the Pro Swing this week because of Masters Week. I mean, everybody's so excited. It's like the official start of golf for the year. But Integrated Media, we do everything over there too. So whether it's mounting a TV, camera system, we're doing a lot of camera systems, alarm systems right now. But just mounting a TV over fireplace. We do small stuff too, Ring doorbell, Google doorbell. We do all that stuff. So, it's not easy, but we do it every day. So it is easy for us.
Speaking of the Masters, you got your Masters fit on. I heard you talking to Bill and Preston earlier. You were out there yesterday.
Yeah, it was fun. It's one of those, I've had the honor to go a couple times. And it's a bucket list thing. If you've never been, man, it's just so cool to walk that course and go to the pro shop.
Did you get the Masters Eclipse glasses?
I did. I got 2 pair. I'm gonna put them on eBay.
I was about to say, hold on to those because
that's gonna be a collector's item.
The value. I would. You got 2. I would keep one.
Yeah,
keep one. Sell one. Maybe
we'll frame them and throw them up here somewhere. Be kind of neat.
That's actually a great idea.
And I've never been able to go to the Masters myself. That's definitely on the bucket list for sports venues to go one day. But I know one element of the Masters that people love so much is the fact you can't bring your cell phones in.
Yeah,
It's
it's
very
weird.
Much, it's very much a disconnected
Yeah.
from reality for a
Yeah,
little
it's
bit, where
weird.
you're
Like
just kind of
the whole day, you're like,
taking everything
oh
in.
my god, where'd my phone go?
I did see on one of the leaderboards they had to write on like a marker, so and so call your wife, so the guy could be out. I guess go out to his car
They
and
have
call his wife or
payphones.
something like that.
They have
or
payphones
use
all around the
payphones.
course. The people are just like calling numbers, but I don't remember any phone numbers, so I wouldn't even know who to call. How many phone numbers do you know off the top of your head anymore?
Probably like 3.
I could call you guys, I guess.
Yeah.
That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, I know my number, my wife's number, and my old the home I grew
Yeah.
up in number. That's
Yeah.
probably the extent at
Yeah,
this
but
point.
I'm about the same way.
It was fun yesterday, so yeah, definitely picked up a couple things in the pro shop.
Who's your pick for this weekend?
Scotty Scheffler, or I don't know, Koepka. He's kind of like that villain thing almost going. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does well.
Heels make sports more fun.
Yeah.
In my opinion. We were
Yeah.
talking about Dan Hurley earlier, kind of a not everybody's cup of tea kind of guy. Brooks Koepka's kind of the same way.
You either love him or hate him. He's really cool in that full swing. It's kind of neat to see him on Netflix. It's kind of neat to see him
Oh yeah,
like off the cuff and just being a normal guy. A little bit different.
no doubt. Speaking of heroes and villains, did you watch the Gamecocks on Sunday? I'm sure.
Of course.
You got the big integrated setup at your house. I'm
I was
sure.
sitting outside my outdoor TV
Okay.
on the screen porch. Yeah, nice. A little
What-
sound out there.
What'd you think, man? Just as a fan, I
Well,
mean,
the
that
first
was
quarter-
awesome.
The first quarter, you could tell Iowa came to play, but then we kind of got in the groove, started playing some defense. You got number one offense versus number one defense. What is it? The old
Something's gotta
slogan:
give.
"Defense wins championships."
That's right.
So it was fun to watch. It was really cool for the university. So
You didn't go jump in the fountain at USC.
no, I did not. I'm a little old for that now.
Yeah, true.
You start to think about the concerns of I wonder what's in that water the older you get.
I-
You don't have those thoughts when you're a student.
I don't think the college student thinks about that, but
No.
I think us guys would be like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of students out there.
That was
like,
cool
it
to
was,
see.
uh,
I saw that on Twitter. I was like, oh man, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
The drone view.
Yeah,
of
and then the
everybody
Empire
was
State Building was lit up garnet black. Like that's cool.
pretty sweet.
The whole nation loves us.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Pretty awesome.
Well, we appreciate you letting us be out here again. We're going to be out here going until noon, and a very cool setup, and definitely a place we're going to have to come back to later on.
Yeah, if you're in the neighborhood, or even if you're not, right on out here.
Yeah, stop by. We'll let you hit a couple balls, see what it's about.
Come on,
Absolutely.
Station will be here all day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to jump to the Garnet Trust Hour coming up next. Wes sat down with Liv Thompson, kind of the end of this little segment series y'all have done throughout the NCAA tournament, giving her thoughts on what you saw in the national championship game on Sunday. So we'll dive into that coming up next as we're again out at Proswing in Chapin 105 Snapdragon Court. Going to come by and see us. Going to be out here all day long here on the game.